Hello and welcome back to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. I'm Jaimie and I am here with you today with my baby Cecilia, and she is nursing her afternoon milky session. So I am trying to get this quick recording in with her here with me. But I just wanted to give you a heads up if you hear a little bit of baby chirping in the background. That's why. Today we are continuing our breastfeeding Q&As. Every Tuesday, I'm going to share a listener question. You can go to littlebearlactation.com/breastfeeding-podcast to submit a voice memo question. You can also DM me on Instagram. However, I want to make sure that I am answering your questions. And today's question is a pretty common one from Brittany. And Brittany asks, I really don't want to use formula, but I keep getting the free samples in the mail. Should I keep it around just in case breastfeeding doesn't work out the way I planned? This is a hot topic, controversial answers coming your way, but I am going to share my input with you, and hopefully you can make a decision that you feel most confident in. This is not a black and white answer, y'all. Do not assume I'm just going to be like, no, absolutely never any formula, or yes, absolutely keep it. It's going to depend on your situation. So let's get ready to dive in. Hey, Mama Bear. Welcome to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. Do you dream of bonding with your baby through exclusive breastfeeding, but worry about breastfeeding pain or low milk supply? Maybe you're struggling with breastfeeding and no one seems to have any answers. I'm Jaimie, doula, international board certified lactation consultant, and mom of 5, and I have been where you are. After working through painful latches, milk supply worries, and postpartum depression, and supporting countless mothers through their breastfeeding journeys for over 8 years, I'm here to tell you breastfeeding doesn't have to be perfect to be positive. Each week, I'll share breastfeeding tips to help you prevent and overcome unexpected breastfeeding challenges so you can actually enjoy bonding with your baby. If you are ready to shut out the toxic whispers of the world, embrace your God-given intuition, and release your inner fierce mama bear, grab some coffee or your favorite herbal tea, and let's dive in. Before we go too deep, if you want to feel completely confident in breastfeeding from day one, I want you to check out the Latching with Confidence on-demand breastfeeding class. I will teach you exactly how to get a deep and comfortable latch that sets you up for breastfeeding success. I will teach you how to avoid unnecessary pain, how to overcome unexpected pain, and how to know your baby is getting enough milk. Make sure you are telling your body to keep making enough milk. You can learn more about that at littlebearlactation.com/latching with confidence. Now let's dive in. You have probably all been on the receiving end of that little box that shows up on your front porch from a formula company that somehow magically found out you were pregnant and sent a gift just for you and your baby, and it is some formula samples. Raise your hand if you have experienced that. I have gotten more formula samples in the mail than I ever wanted, and it always frustrated me as a first-time mom, as a second-time mom, as a third-time mom. I did not get them with my last baby at all, which is impressive. Probably because I was not doing any like online registries or anything. I think that's where they get your information from. I digress. I would always get really frustrated because I had always heard, like, you should not keep extra formula around because it's going to undermine you and yada, yada, yada. Well, since becoming a lactation consultant, I kind of have a new perspective on that. And I'm going to start off by saying, first of all, I do not think having formula is the best backup plan. I am all about having a plan A, plan B, plan C, but you need to have a rock solid plan A and a rock solid plan B before you ever consider getting to that contingency plan. And formula really is the last resort for moms who are planning to exclusively breastfeed. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have formula. It doesn't mean you should never use formula. But there are other options that you should have in place first. And I want to see moms setting themselves up for success, not just saying, I plan to breastfeed and here's formula just in case. It's kind of a half-hearted plan. And if you joined me in Secrets to a First Latch Without Pain, you know that I am all about having a strong plan for breastfeeding success. We need to stop putting so much energy into our birth plans and completely ignoring our breastfeeding plans. And hope Hoping breastfeeding works and having formula as a backup is not a plan for success. So, if your plan is to exclusively breastfeed, you want to bond with your baby through breastfeeding, you want them to have exclusive breast milk, and you only want formula if it's absolutely necessary, let's talk about how you create a plan. All right. So, first of all, having those formula samples as a backup is not a plan for success, in my opinion, because most of you listening here don't wanna be using your run-of-the-mill Similac and Enfamil anyway. You want what's best for your baby. So if you are in a position where you absolutely have to use breast milk, I know you want the ones with the best ingredients. So what I do say is, if you feel called to have formula as a backup plan, during pregnancy, I absolutely do think you should do research into different brands of formula, different sources of formula, their ingredients, and figure out what is important to you and what options you are comfortable with if you do need to lean on formula. Having that figured out now can help you feel more confident if you do end up discerning that formula is going to be a necessary part of your journey. So, in that case, you may want to purchase formula ahead of time before your baby comes as a backup plan, because some of you will decide that you want formula that is not easy to source in the United States. So you want a brand of formula that is maybe not available at Walmart at 2 o'clock in the morning when you make the last minute decision to run out for formula. So if you are in that situation where you are very particular about what formula you are open to using, having one or two cans on hand might be wise if you are really particular about the brand you want to use. That being said, I still don't recommend everybody keeps formula on hand just in case, because I do think there is a big temptation. And if you're not set up for success and you've got this formula there and you're struggling, that temptation is going to win when you are tired and exhausted and feel helpless. So instead of having a backup of formula, you need to have a plan for support. You need education on what is normal, when to get help, and you need a lactation expert that you trust, because I'm going to be so real with you. Most of your doctors and nurses in the hospital, and even some of your lactation consultants, are not prepared to support you with your breastfeeding goals. All of that being said, I think it's really important to know if you have any red flags for possible supply issues. So, if you are pregnant right now and you know that you have certain health conditions that might make it harder for you to produce a full milk supply, then it might make sense for you to have formula as a backup plan ready to go, just so you can alleviate some of that pressure. So you can still create a plan for breastfeeding success, but know that you have a backup if you need it and you don't have to feel the stress to perform, that pressure to perform, right? It might be wise to set up a prenatal lactation consult where you can kind of do a screening for any signs of risk that you might struggle with milk supply, and to determine with a lactation consultant if it would be wise to have backup formula for you and your personalized situation with your personal goals. Instead of focusing on having formula as a backup plan, it might be wise to consider having donor milk as a backup plan. Understand and learn about your donor milk options. What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with when it comes to donor milk? Because there are other options instead of formula for supplementing your baby if it is necessary. Ultimately, I do not recommend that everybody has formula as a backup plan. I do recommend being educated in your options for formula, deciding what feels right for you, deciding what is necessary for you based on your goals and your personal risk factors, and making sure that no matter what you decide, having formula in the pantry or not, that you have created a plan for breastfeeding success, that you have actually set yourself up, and that you have a plan in place, that you have support in place. Inside of my Latching with Confidence class, you not only learn how to build a strong milk supply from the start, get that strong foundation of a good latch to increase your baby's milk intake and avoid needing formula. You also get access to a workshop called Avoiding Formula in the Hospital, where you learn how to discern when formula is necessary, when it's not. Understand sometimes there's going to be pressure to use formula, and make decisions you feel confident in. You're also going to learn how to supplement with formula in a way that supports your milk supply. So these are the kinds of things that you have to understand before you ever introduce formula. So if you have this plan for success and you decide that having extra formula on hand is good for you and your mental health, then more power to you. But do not, under any circumstances, do not just have the formula in the back pantry and not have yourself set up for breastfeeding success. Don't go in blind. Don't go in on hope and a prayer, expecting it to just work out and then having formula as your backup plan. Because if you do not want to use formula and that is your plan, hope, a prayer, winging it, and having formula as a backup plan, then you're probably going to fall in the large majority of women who end up supplementing when they didn't want to. If you're ready to set yourself up with a plan for success today, visit littlebearlactation.com/latching with confidence to get started. If you would like to submit your questions for a future Q&A episode, visit littlebearlactation.com/breastfeeding-podcast to submit a voice memo, or you can email me at Jaimie Zaki at littlebearlactation.com. That's JAIMIEZAKI at littlebearlactation.com. All right, Mama Bear, that is a wrap for today. If this episode helped you feel a little more confident or a little more prepared for breastfeeding, can I ask you a quick favor? Go ahead and leave me a review. It helps other moms find this podcast and join us in this amazing community of fierce and confident mama bears. And hey, if you know a friend who could use some encouragement or real talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, and all things motherhood, share this episode with her. You've got this, Mama Bear. Trust your instincts, stay fierce, and I'll catch you in the next episode.